Welcome to the Hidden Why podcast, episode 1127. Here is my latest episode speaking with Dr. Bruno Cignacco. He is an Italian-Argentinian businessman living in the UK, and he helps businesses through marketing, but also now through creating compassionate workplaces, which is a really important topic. I didn't want to delve too much into the business side of things, but I wanted to really talk about compassion and why compassion is so important. Now, particularly in this day and age, we want to be seen, heard, and loved, right? So compassion plays a critical role in that. And the benefits of this are it helps not only the person receiving, but also the person that's giving. And that's why compassion is so important. I chat with Bruno about his research and his practical tools on compassion that can help you build better relationships, whether it's in your workplace or just in your personal lives as well. So enjoy this episode, guys. Here in Australia, helping others live life more fully, create more meaning, and find more joy. We'll speak at the other end. Hey, Dr. Bruno, welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much for your invite. I feel very honored to be here. Thank you.
All the way over there in sunny London.
It's not very sunny, I will say. It's a bit cold and cloudy.
A bit cloudy. But you're Italian, huh?
I'm Italian-Argentinian. My grandparents are from Italy and I was born in Argentina, but I speak Spanish, Italian, and also English.
Okay. And so tell us a bit about your business. You've written a book, which we're going to get into soon, The Art of Compassionate Business. And you've been doing this for some time now, training and consulting with worldwide businesses.
Yes. I have been doing this for more than 30 years, especially topic related to international marketing strategy. And over the last 6-7 years, I have been advising companies on how they can develop a positive workplace, a much more meaningful customer service, and also how they can be profitable but also human-oriented. And this is an area, a business unit that is growing fast because companies are in demand of this type of approach. Some company got a bit tired of being only profit-oriented and not building a strong relationship with different stakeholders such as customers, employees, community members, suppliers, which is the most important factor in any business.
So what is the shift in that regards? Like why are companies changing and shifting to a more human approach?
Yes, but there is a lot of research on this that I mentioned in the book, but a few examples. Companies understand that when you build, for example, a compassionate workplace, what is a compassionate workplace? Where employees feel supported, they feel that they are taken care of, they don't feel ridiculed when they propose new ideas, they feel psychologically safe in this workplace. In these workplaces, according to research, employees are more satisfied. Well, make a lot of sense, but customers are also more satisfied because employees that are more satisfied tend to serve customers more effectively. There is lower stress level, would improve people well-being in the workplace, lower absenteeism, and lower turnover. This means that the employees want to remain in the company, and this affects positively the bottom line. This means profit. This means that well-being in the workplace bring about positive economic results. Not only a nice workplace, but also bring a positive impact on the economic parameter that most companies look for, that is a profit, market share, and so on.
So create a supportive, compassionate environment for your employees and for your customers, better for overall performance of the business.
Yes, and in the case of customer, the example is that when you treat customer in a compassionate way, you understand how they think, how they feel, and try to help them. This is the concept of compassion. When you try to help them, instead of being focused on your profits or on your sales objectives, this customer feel that they are being taken care of, and they are more prone to become loyal to the company, and they're more prone to recommend your company to other customers and leave positive reviews. So this means that it's not only being compassionate in business and in life is not only to be nice with others, but you are strengthening relationship with others. In the case of business, you are strengthening the relationship with the stakeholders. But when you're compassionate with your relative, your friend, your partner, you're also strengthening this relationship and creating a positive cycle of reciprocity. This person that you're helping is more prone to help you in return when you face difficulties.
It's quite important.
Very important.
I want to know why have workplaces changed from the past, profit-focused, less human approach is what you're saying, and to nowadays where we have to focus on, creating this environment for our employees. What is the main reason? Like, why has that suddenly changed? Because I would assume having happy employees has always been a good thing. Is it because there's more opportunities for people nowadays, or we feel like we need more care?
It's a very interesting question. No, it's about awareness. In the past, companies were only aware of what I call quantitative aspect of business, the economic parameter, what can be counted, what can be measured precisely. For example, market share can be measured precisely. Sales can be measured precisely. When you reduce costs, this can be measured, can be counted in a very precise way. However, companies now, they're also aware of a second set of factors that we call qualitative aspect of business, which implies compassion, generosity, gratitude, care, support, empathy that can be applied to any stakeholders. And this qualitative aspect of business cannot be measured precisely as the first group of factors that we call quantitative. But the second group of factors, qualitative, are so important because help companies build robust relationship with the stakeholders. And companies are also aware that they cannot succeed without this stakeholder. They cannot succeed without customer, without good supplier, with the support of community members, without good employees. So they try to build this strong relationship, a long-term relationship where the needs of both parties, the company and this stakeholder, are fully met. This is quite important because if you focus only on what can be measured, what I call economic factors, such as profitability, productivity, sales, market share, all these economic parameters, in some cases you tend to dismiss the building of relationship with the stakeholder. In some cases you tend to achieve this profit, market share, by all means, exploiting employees, polluting the environment, deceiving customers. So this means that I see companies that adopt a much more balanced approach. They say, we cannot focus only on profit because this is only part of business. We have to bring about positive relationship with the stakeholder because we cannot force them to cooperate with us. But if we build robust relationship with this stakeholder, they are more prone to cooperate with us spontaneously, and they will help us achieve this key performance indicator, profit, market share, and so on. But there is another aspect that is important, reputation. You have a multiplication of media all over the world. We call fragmentation of media in marketing. You have small media publications, and then you have big newspapers and so on. And you have information everywhere, online, offline. This means that if the company make a negative move, for example, polluting the environment or mistreating employees or deceiving customers, this will be publicized all over these platforms. This means that, and this will bring about negative image affecting the company reputation in a negative way. And when the company reputation, that in some cases take a long time to build, is affected in a negative way, tainted, this company reputation affect negatively the brand image, and this will affect sales, will affect also the company will be less prone to attract talented employees because talented employees don't want to work for a company that is with bad reputation, and will attract also fewer high quality investors that are not interested in company with bad reputation. So reputation is also a very important constraint that many companies feel in order not to act only profit oriented, because they know if they are going to the extreme, only looking for profit and going against stakeholders, this reputation will be affected. And you see in practice, when company offer shoddy product, customers leave lot of negative reviews about this company and this product. When employees are mistreated, there are some platforms like Glassdoors where employee can leave negative comments about the company that they work for, discouraging new employees to work for this company. So this means that Everything is publicized. And before internet, this was only shown in the big media. Now, because you have so many media platforms, this is multiplied to the infinite. And any negative move of the company, unethical or illegal, will be publicized because many of the media platforms are sensationalistic. They are looking for this type of news where the company made a wrong move, and this will affect the company reputation in a negative way.
Yeah, 100%. So firstly, awareness, like more companies and employees, people generally more aware. But there's also this information world we live in where everything's public and visible. So
Yes.
you can't hide anymore.
There, there,
And
are,
yeah, and a lot of people
there are
are
other
more prone to leaving negative feedback and reviews and not positive, right?
Yes, there are other factors that I wanted to mention. For example, in the past, many companies treated employees as, for example, like if they were robots or machines. They should be working as much as possible without additional compensation. And if the employee didn't feel well, this part of the organizational machinery was replaced, was considered faulty and was replaced by
Yeah.
another part, another employee. This means the dehumanization of employees. And customers also were dehumanized. Why? Because customers were treated not like human beings with needs for good products, good services, but they were treated like a figure in the database that contribute to profit. Companies
Yeah.
don't care so much in the past if the customer were looking for this product or not. They would, in many cases, they try to sell the highest price possible for their products because the company get higher sales and higher commissions. So, but now I see companies that are treating each stakeholder in a very humanized way. Employees are human beings, flesh and bone human beings that they have needs, not only economic needs for a good salary, but they have emotional needs, need to be recognized and being appreciated by the company and being taken care of. But also they have social needs. This means that need to relate to others in the work environment, but also outside this workplace, and also
Mm,
mental needs,
mm.
being motivating on a regular basis.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of these principles that you discuss in your book on how to create those relationships and more compassion. And I want to talk about it because you talk about it, the art of compassionate business, but it's about relationships, right? Creating
Yes,
compassionate relationships, really. So what are
yes,
some of the principles that you teach people on how to do this?
yes. First off, we have to understand what is compassion about. Compassion can be defined in a very simple way. Understanding how people think when you relate to them,
Yeah.
understanding how they feel, and try to help them, especially when they face difficulties. Why compassion is so important, how compassion strengthens relationship with others. First off, because you connect to others in a much more humane way. This means that you understand that we all go through suffering in life, in business and in non-business environment. And we can connect to others in a much more supportive way. This means that we are willing to help them whenever possible. In some cases, helping them implies listening to them attentively, to hearing their comments or their complaints or their challenges. But in other cases, implies also supporting them in a very effective way. For example, providing them with some advice or some suggestion, or providing them with some information, technical information, or recommending them to specific organizations and so on. So this is quite important because when people feel supported by others, this brings about a positive cycle of reciprocity.
Yeah.
This means that people feel compelled to respond in a positive way. But also compassion implies, when you are compassionate to others, implies a feeling positive emotion about this person, supporting them and being willing to be there for them, be present for them. And this positive emotion, according to science too, bring about what I call, and many authors call, emotional contagion. This means that you infect others with positive emotion,
Mm.
especially when they face negative situation or challenges that they are very difficult to them.
Yeah.
Uh, and this brings about a positive cycle of emotions, because when you infect them, they feel the same emotions and they are more prone to act accordingly. So this means that there are two main factors: the supporting that is provided by compassionate people, and it's a non-judgmental way, because most people tend to judge others. In some cases, it's like a drive that is unconscious, tend to judge, especially in a negative way. You are not judgmental and you try to support them. But also, being compassionate implies other attributes, other principles, such as being generous. A compassionate person is generous with others because they are giving their time. How many times we see that we don't have time to have a call to a friend or call to a relative because we're so busy. We are littered with work, or we have a lot of commitments and we cannot take 1 minute. And research have found that 1 minute compassionate conversation bring about very specific positive impact on the person receiving this compassionate treatment. I give an example of the health sector. In the health sector, doctors in practice, when they have to operate a patient, they try to be very technical. They inform the patient about the procedure, the surgery that they will go through, but then that's it. There are health care organizations that adopt a different approach. And there is an interesting research study that observed that when doctors have 1 minute conversation with patient before going through the operation, this patient need less anesthesia, they recover much more quickly as compared with the patient that didn't have this 1 minute conversation. This means that, and what is a compassionate conversation? Understanding the patient fears, try to support them whenever possible, helping the patient self-soothe so that they will be less stressed, more relaxed during the procedure. And this makes a lot of sense, because in practice, when we apply compassion in life, we understand that we have a commonality. We are all human beings with fears, expectation, dreams, aspiration, negative experience and positive experience. You can connect to others in a condition of equality.
So obviously compassion is a good thing for, the person that's receiving, but also for the person that's being more compassionate. Makes a lot of sense, because we are all humans and we all have feelings and emotions, and if we can nurture that in others, then we nurture it in ourselves as well. And it kind of brings about a higher level of awareness. How do we cultivate genuine compassion? Because I understand your definition there is, understanding the other person, how they feel, what their thoughts are, what they're going through. But you also made a point that we're all so busy these days that we don't give ourselves time to think about others, because we're always ultimately thinking about ourselves. So how do we cultivate this level of compassion?
Very important. Being aware of the scientific discoveries will be a very important point for awareness. Understanding that research on happiness, the longest research that took many decades, we call cross-sectional study, many decades of study on happiness, concluded unequivocally that the most important factor for happiness is the building of a strong relationship with others at any age. So this is quite important, and these relationships are not strengthened on their own. They need a bit of work, they need a bit of support, regular support, and checking out, but not only checking out how they are in a very brief way, but try to connect to others in a mental and emotional level, so that you brighten this relationship fully, and also understanding that the relationship can only succeed when the needs of both parties are fully met. A relationship that breaks up is because the need of one party at least was not fully met. And how you do this in practice is like watering a plant. You have to do on a regular basis, because when you do so, when you try to support others, you are bringing about this positive cycle of reciprocity. You will see that people are responding in a much more different way. They will try to support you even when you didn't request for any support, because people they feel indebted to support you if you gave your heart and you gave your support to them, especially during difficult moments. So this means that a very important factor for happiness, building a strong relationship. And people that have a strong relationship also affect their longevity. They tend to live longer because they have a very important network of people around them that can support them, and they can support these people as well.
Yeah, I talk about it in my book, The Ultimate Life Map, and relationships is one of the six pillars that I talk about, relating directly to happiness, and greater fulfillment too. I suppose what I'm looking at is it's easy for a compassionate person to say, just be more compassionate towards others. But for those people that are quite busy and maybe not aware, how do we go on and cultivate with genuine compassion? Like, how do we not be forced to say, oh, just be more compassionate in the workplace? How do you actually cultivate genuine compassion?
Well, first off, saving some time for relationships. So I know that the schedule is very important, but a famous thought
So
leader, Stephen Covey,
creating time, or
creating time, or managing the time more effectively. Don't shouldn't be so biased toward what is urgent or what is work oriented or what is chores, and leaving no time to relationships. So this is quite fundamental
makes
because
sense.
they make a lot of sense.
So
And
at a
people, if they don't,
workplace, would you encourage managers to create those environments, create those time slots so people could get together
totally,
and yeah,
totally. I give you an example. Some company here in the UK, especially in London, they have employees working 8 hours a day, and in these 8 hours a day, employees have 10 meetings a day. 10 meetings a day. So imagine that they have probably 15 minutes to have lunch and no other time to, for example, talk to friends, colleagues at work. So what these companies do in practice, first off, they reduce the amount of meetings so that the lunch time is longer for employees to chat and chat about non-business topics. They can talk about the weekend, the hobbies, the pastime, and so on. But some companies go a step further. What they do, they organize once a week a schedule at the end, for example, of the last day, the last working day, Friday. They organize a social meeting, let's say at 6 p.m. The people finish at 5 a.m., 6 p.m. to have a dinner. All the colleagues from different departments and also the executive team will go there, and they talk one to one at the same level. No hierarchies, no roles. This is wonderful. And research validated this because when employees have this, what I call social events, they go back to work revitalized. The relationship with their colleagues got transformed and got transformed in a positive way. Why? Because you don't see them also at the level of roles, but you see also at the level of uh, humanity, how they are flesh and bone human beings with the family, friend, in some cases with health issues, pastime, hobbies, dreams. So, and this enrich not only the relationship with these colleagues, but also enrich the relationship within the workplace. So this means that scheduling is very important in this busy world
mm,
and this world of busyness. So we have to schedule and we have to understand that not necessarily what is urgent is always important. This is Stephen Covey saying this, that is, there are things that are important, and in some cases, we leave this at the end of the list. Relationships are very, very important. They're paramount for life and for business, and many people leave this at the end of the list. Not good, because at the end, we are interdependent beings. We cannot succeed on our own in life. We cannot succeed on our own in business. We
yeah,
need people that help us, and we need to help others. So we are always interconnected. And people in some cases
yeah.
miss the point that they are self-centered. They are isolated from others. And this is not good for any type of activity, business or business activities.
Yeah, so having a level of awareness about people, number one, but then, scheduling time for people. And I think in our busy lives, um, we just go from one thing to the next without actually stopping to think. And I think this is why awareness and meditation is a profound practice in anyone's life. But that's the same with spending time with people, and I'm certainly guilty of that. I run my own business here, and my day starts, and it's sometimes full on. And so when people come into my daily life, I don't have time for them. Not that I don't have time for them, but it's just because I'm very focused and task driven. But for a busy person like myself or many people listening to this, scheduling time when you can have that people focus is really important.
Yes, because in practice, the most important factor in life is relationship. And the most important factor in business is not information, it's not artificial intelligence, not technology, not money, is relationship, is the human being. We are here to connect to others. We are social beings. So we are human beings, but social beings. When you connect to others, you enrich yourself and you enrich others. And at the end, we are all interconnected and interdependent. We have to remember this. We cannot succeed in life or in business on our own.
The Italians are quite good at relationships and
Yeah.
community. And I read a research study somewhere along the way years ago, and they focused on this community that had long life expectancy, and it was in America, but it was an Italian community there. And they
Yes.
found that it
Yes.
wasn't necessarily the food or anything like that. It was actually the Italians stopped more often to talk to their neighbors and friends
Yes.
than other
Yes.
people, and that's what was giving them longevity.
Yes. I agree. And I want to highlight a very important difference. There are two types of cultures worldwide. Some countries have a culture that we call individualist culture. UK and United States are two examples of individualist culture, where what is important there is the individual achievement, the individual objective. Some countries like Italian, and I will include also Argentina, they are uh, collectivist or community oriented.
Yeah.
The connection with people is so important. And so this is important at the same level of other aspects like business or hobbies or pastimes. So this means that we have to understand that even if we are in an individualist culture, like in my case in the UK, you can build this relationship all the same with other people because it's important for you and important for them. At the end, regardless of the culture that you're inserted in, we're all human beings and we are social beings. So it's important to nurture these relationships.
Interesting, isn't it? What the individualist society in Australia is similar to America and the UK in that sense. And this question is maybe one that's just on my mind, but in those cultures where it's very individual focused, trying to create a compassionate culture within that must be very difficult because it almost could turn back on itself and create some sort of level of entitlement in my mind, whereby you sort of, start to give compassion back to your employees, for example. And because everyone's so individually focused, they just take abuse of that. They, take the piss, as they
Yes,
say. How do you
yes,
navigate
but
that?
yeah, very interesting. But there is a very important phenomenon in psychology that we call Pygmalion effect.
Eh?
Pygmalion effect,
Pygmalion.
Pygmalion effect. That is, what you assume about others impact how they behave and how they treat you. Let's think about this. So let's imagine that you believe that people are not likely to respond to you in a compassionate way. So you have this assumption. You say, no, we are in an individualist culture, and because of the my assumption, I feel that they will not act in a compassionate way. With this assumption, you are more prone to treat them as if they were not compassionate,
Yeah.
and they are more likely to respond alike. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So this means that the assumption that you have about others, because of this Pygmalion effect, they tend to affect how you treat others, how you refer to others, how you talk to them, and how you connect to them on an emotional and mental level, and they tend to respond alike. And if you treat them that if they were not compassionate, what do you expect? They will start treating you in that way. Instead, when you treat others in a positive way, you have positive assumption about them, and you treat them accordingly, they're more prone to reciprocate. So this means also how you frame the situation with your assumption. If your assumptions are negative about them, well, it's more prone that this will be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay.
So very interesting point.
Pygmalion effect. I'll have to look into that. Mate, very cool conversation. Compassionate is important. Love your work. Your book's released, so it is on Amazon. I'll stick a link in the show notes for everyone listening. And you've written a number of books, right?
Yes. This is my much more appreciated book because It's already in its second edition. The first edition was published before the COVID, and the second edition was published 2023 and has more than 400 pages and hundreds of examples of compassionate organization. It's titled The Art of Compassionate Business and can be found worldwide in any bookshop, offline or online, published by Routledge.
Is English your natural language?
English is not my natural language, it's Spanish and also Italian.
I thought so. How do you write a book? Do you write in your natural language or do you write in English?
No, I write in English. I wrote some business book in Spanish, but I have been living here. I'm also British now. I have been here for such a long time that I'm like, by default, I am already now feeling British and I'm legally British. And so obviously, I always have a very good editor that check the nuances that could bring about some challenges with the sense, but I found very few corrections from the editor, and the editor is my partner. So, and the idea is that I feel very pleased to use a different language to express my ideas.
Yeah, it was just a curious question, really, because I thought maybe you'd write in your natural language and then have it translated, but it doesn't work. Okay, there you go. And you've done a TED Talk as well?
Yes, the TED Talk can be found online on YouTube, and also, yes, I'm also a university professor. I'm teaching a few modules here in the UK, especially related to marketing and ethics. I have been doing this for nearly 30 years, teaching at university, not because it's my most important source of income, but because I feel that it's my vocation and my mission to spread these ideas with the students and academics. So I feel very delighted with this too.
I like that. I mean, you need to have, that level of contribution, I think, in society. And it's not about like the profits. It's about giving back,
Giving back.
And meaning. Well, thank you, mate, for coming on. Bruno Cignacco.
Very
Got
good.
that right?
Thank you.
Bruno Cignacco.
Right.
Links in the show notes. Thanks so much for coming on. Everyone listening out there, the show notes will be at thehiddenwhy.com, so you can check it out there. Links to Bruno as well. And mate, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
Check it out, guys. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this latest episode on the Hidden Why podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Reach out to myself or Bruno. You can head on over to thehiddenwhy.com for the show notes there. Links to Bruno as well, website, LinkedIn, and also his book if you wish to pick up a copy of that as well. I'm here in Australia helping people live life more fully, have more meaning and find more joy. And I want to help you as well. So I do mentoring and coaching for those that are looking to excel in their lives and find deeper meaning, find more joy, and certainly find a greater level of freedom. So if you're interested, reach out through the website. You can email me directly, or there is a link in there so you can schedule a time where we can catch up. Would love to chat to you. Have a great day, great week ahead. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. Speak soon.